Hi, guys. I just clicked on a little bit, a couple of minutes early. It's hysterical. Uh, I hope that people are catching up with my lives on YouTube. I'm also downloading them and putting them in YouTube because I know not everybody is able to attend at 8 o'clock. Maybe I mistimed it. I thought, hey, I'll strike everybody before they go to work. I just think this is hilarious that I've managed to connect with no trouble the one time that I am early. Anyway, today's topic is based on something that I have experienced myself and I fully relate to. And I've had a few people recently talk to me and implied that they too have the same issue, but they're blissfully unaware of it. And that is the self talk that we use around goals, around, like things like attending events, feeling the need to withdraw from anything where there is growth and expansion involved. And this has impacted on me for many years. And when you listen to any motivational speakers or listen to anything on Instagram from people who are going places, they will talk about that idea of belief in yourself and where does that belief come from. And I was at my mum's rest home recently watching reruns or clips of people who've made it from all the talent shows around the world. Essentially America's Got Talent or The Voice and things like that. And as luck would have it, or in divine intervention, or maybe it was the just the earth and stars and everything lining up like they're doing this week, apparently. I caught Susan Boyle's audition. There's my alarm reminding me to come on live. And the interesting thing there was I had never ever seen her audition before. She came out looking like a character out of Coronation Street, bless her. And of course, she opened her mouth. And what was I noticed? I mean, this is all for TV, right? But there was so much truth in it for me in everyday living and the experiences I've had with clients. The cameras honed in on people in the crowd who happened to be incredibly good looking, and they were rolling their eyes and they were looking at each other with sort of, whimsical expressions. And Simon or whoever it was asked her, where she was from and what she was going to do. And then the amazing question one of them asked her was, what is your dream? And without thinking, she didn't falter in her response. And she said, I want to be a professional singer. So again, we had the camera panning back to the audience and seeing all these more eye rollings, a few laughing. And, the general vibe was, this is a joke. And somebody else then asked her, so, I can't remember actually the leading question, but she said she wanted to be somebody like Elaine Page. Now, anyone who's into music, theatre, whatever, Elaine Page is or was, I'm sure she's been surpassed by now, but she was outstanding. And again, this whole idea that here was this person, an unknown, standing on stage saying she wanted to be like Elaine Page. And she didn't falter, she didn't break stride, she just came out with it. And we've set this scene of someone who has so much belief about themselves just in the language they used. It wasn't, I'm thinking about, in an ideal world. She didn't embellish it. She just came straight out with it. I want to be a professional singer. I want to be like Elaine Page. And of course, then she opened her mouth, and everybody in the audience needed to start eating their hats, really. Uh, And the rest, as we say, is history. But I sat there and all I could think about was that woman's incredible self belief and how her language and the way she spoke, she didn't care what anybody else thought. And I thought, gosh, there's a lesson, right? There's a lesson right there. Less is more. I want to be a professional singer. I want to be like Elaine Page. And I don't really care what the rest of you think. And off she went. So, thinking about our own self belief and how that is expressed in the language that we use about ourselves. And in particular, today, I wanted to look at goals and getting ourselves into that state of where we want to grow and expand, where we want to join events, where we want to go, where, I talked about my lives to a couple of people, and maybe I'm not explaining it well enough, but the feedback was I'm in a good space, I'm okay. And I laughed with one person because I was saying, so we wait until we're not in a good space and then we start seeking out support. And then we start looking at how I need to grow and expand. And my analogy, as always, is the gym. We don't go to the gym when we need to get fit. We go to the gym to stay fit. We might go there initially to start getting fit, but I don't sit there and go, I don't need to go because I'm fit. It's an ongoing process, and exposure to anything that is uplifting, that gives you extra tools, is never a waste of time. And I guess that brings me back to that whole thing that I've shared numerously, which is, what is your view of life? And if it's about growth and expansion, then any opportunity that's presented is something you will grab. And I've definitely embraced that in my life. But this idea of when we talk about our goals, specifically, I can remember myself how I used to, my rationale was I used to undersell and over deliver. So I would describe my capabilities, I would describe what I intended to do in with low expectations. I would say, well, I'm hoping to do this, this, and this, or I'd like to. It was all very, restricted and limiting language. And what I found was it worked for other people because then they were surprised, right, when you suddenly excelled at something at work or produced above and beyond what you had implied. But it wasn't working for me. It didn't shift me because I knew I was going to perform at that level. Does that make sense? And I thought, what are you doing? You're doing this out of fear. You're doing this out of not having the confidence. And what if I don't deliver? And then what is this person going to think about me? But my language was not serving me. And if we go back to the Susan Boyle example, she could have said, oh, I really want to be like, I'd love to be, my dream is to be somebody like Elaine Page, or I have a dream of being a professional singer. She could have used all those sort of words. I have a dream, or, I'd really like to. And you can imagine the different response from the audience. Oh, how sweet. They might still have laughed, who knows? But it would have been a very responsive, supportive environment. This is how I feel about it. But because she came out with it, there was that little bit of comeback from people who don't like somebody who knows where they're going or knows where they want to go. And I guess I have seen enough of that to think I don't want to be on the receiving end of that treatment. Therefore, I want people to like me, but at a price. And the price I was paying was I didn't particularly like myself, because that wasn't who I really was. I was not speaking authentically about my capabilities. So when you set goals, maybe if you don't want that impact from people, if you're not at that level, maybe you don't share them. I've seen a lot of that, disappear. What is it? There's this great meme, disappear for a month or disappear for a week even, and just make things happen. We don't have to talk about it to other people, but whatever we're doing, we want to think that our language to ourselves is empowering and is serving us to reach that goal. I know I can do this with the tools, with the information that I have, with additional support from reaching out to other people. Again, you don't need to share this with other people. But if you find that, that exposure to others way too much, just ensure that you are speaking to yourself truthfully. And maybe don't tell other people. That is always an option. And in terms of opportunities, when you're faced with opportunities, think about how you are limiting yourself because you don't see yourself worthy of that opportunity. Now, that's pretty broad, and it's not necessarily what you feel about worthiness, but it's the implication in the words that you're using. So if you say, I'm okay, I don't need that. I've presented a couple of opportunities, and not my stuff necessarily, other people's stuff that I've shared with people. And I can feel the resistance. And the resistance is not necessarily around the obvious things like money and time. It's about they don't feel they need it. And while that's okay, I don't believe that's the whole truth. I think that is something that they have told themselves. And the flip side of that is going, well, when will you need it? It's like, I don't need, keep coming back to the exercise example, keep coming back to the nutrition example. I don't need a nutrition plan. I don't need to eat healthy yet. So when will you need it? And are you going to wait until you need it? Because everything suggests that if you step in, if you start branching out before you need stuff, this is that preventative environment. And we're seeing this with mental health, right? People are reaching out. The psychologists that I know are booked out for years, just about. Nobody can get help. Nobody can afford help because they've waited too long. They've left it until it's urgent, until it's a absolute must, because they're on the brink. And to come back from there is a lot more than a couple of sessions with a psychologist, right? You're looking at a real massive intervention to support some people. And this whole idea that we need to wait, I think we need to shift that, because we need to link it back to self-care. We need to link it back to the language that we use about why we're not doing something. And we need to step up for ourselves and go, is this the whole truth? That's a question that is just sums everything up, really, isn't it? What we say is often not the entire truth. And if nothing else, we need to be more truthful to ourselves. And maybe if somebody presents you with an opportunity to grow and expand, you consider that maybe your reason for not wanting to take that opportunity is not the most obvious one. It's more about fear of exposure. It's fear of what it might unlock. It's fear of what it might involve. And it's fear of the unknown. And that has held me back numerous times in my life. And what I have found has helped me is to view these things as opportunities that are being presented, and they are not a threat to me as a person. They're simply an opportunity. And I try not to turn down opportunities that serve me to grow and expand, even if I feel in the moment that, actually, I'm not really looking at this at the moment, but hey, that sounds really interesting. And who knows where it's going to lead to. So having that, and that comes back to having that open mindset, doesn't it? Which again, let's define an open mindset, because people I know who've said, I've got an open mindset, have often proven to have no open mindset whatsoever. In fact, it's the complete opposite. They shut things down pretty quickly. Open is literally, yeah, I'll hear it. I'll digest it. I'll think about it. I'll look into it. So have a moment of pondering, because I certainly am, at how the way you talk about your goals, the way you talk about opportunities that are presented to you, are you limiting them? Are you playing small? Are you talking down your potential? Are you setting goals that limit you because you have fear of what other people will say, fear of not being able to reach that goal? And is that serving you? While it may be favorable for you in the short term, in terms of people understanding and caring about you and liking you, in the long term, are you going to grow and expand? And that is just as important as considering the destructive self-talk of I'm not good enough or I can't do this. It's the subtlety of some of the ways that we talk about ourselves that can be as harmful. Look forward to catching up with you guys tomorrow at 8 o'clock. And do watch out. I will put a link up to access these videos in a playlist on YouTube. And I thank you for any feedback and any thoughts on what I am sharing around self-care and language. Catch up with you soon.